Welcome back. Let's talk about this. Is it some sort of candy dish? Is it a protective cup for large men? Some type of face mask? Maybe it's a ceremonial headpiece. No, it's not any of those things, and since you read the title of this video, you know what this is. This is a bump cap. This is a plastic shell that goes inside of your ordinary everyday hat to make it protective, to help protect your head from bumping into things. There are a lot of different brands and versions of these bump cap inserts. This one is made by Ergodyne. Plastic is between 1 millimeter to 2 millimeters thick, depending on what section of the cap. It's got a small pad just up on the top there, where it sits on top of your head, and that's about 2 millimeters thick. These just slip inside of a hat. They can go in any type of hat. These are really made for like baseball hats or, just your standard kind of caps. And now your hat is got this layer of protection in it. So it will protect your head from little bumps and scrapes. If you are someone who spends a lot of time crawling underneath cars, in crawl spaces under houses, up in attics, anything like that where you are bumping your head into things,
Take over.
that's where something like this would be handy. So I did not get this for any of those reasons. I bought this because I sweat a lot. I sweat when it's hot outside, and I sweat when it's warm outside, and I sweat when I work or when I exercise. I sweat when I think about exercising or working. Now, because I have no hair, I wear hats a lot. I have to protect my soft, delicate skin from the harsh environment, so I wear hats. If you sweat in a hat, you know that hats get really gross. They end up looking like this. They get crusty, they get sweat stains, and just disgusting. Now, when you're sweating in a hat a lot, you need to wash it. The best way to wash your hat is just to wash it by hand, scrub them with a little laundry soap, and that gets all of the grime out. But then your hat doesn't dry quite right. You can try to prop it up and get it flat, but then it ends up drying and it always looks kind of wrinkled or stretched out or crunched up. And that's why I bought this bump cap, was so that after I washed any of my hats, I would put this bump cap in them and set them there to dry so that they would dry nice and hat shaped instead of looking like a wrinkled, sweaty hat even after they were clean. I did eventually try wearing the bump cap in the hat. I thought it was silly at first, but I tried wearing it and I kind of liked it when I was out mowing the yard, and you drive the mower underneath the tree and the tree branch takes the top of your head off. This is pretty handy. The downside is that it makes me sweat even more. Or maybe I don't actually sweat more, but I notice it more because instead of my hat absorbing all of the sweat just sort of collects inside this plastic and drips down the inside. So I do notice that I sweat more. The trade-off is that when I'm doing yard work or if I have to climb up in the attic, I don't end up sticking a nail or something into the top of my head, which is kind of nice. I did get a second one of these. This is also made by Ergodyne. This is the improved ventilated version. It just has a lot more holes for ventilation and some ribs on the top for more airflow. So I'm going to try using this one to see if I sweat less in this one. The real question is, how tough are these things? And I've always wanted to know, are they really that protective against things other than little bumps and scrapes? So I enlisted some assistants to help me test these. We put this hat onto my replica human head, and I had my assistants take some swings at it with a mallet and a hammer. We chucked a brick at it, and it did really well. We did not crack or break the head replica at all. We did, however, crack this bump cap in one place. After hammering on it and throwing a brick at it multiple times, we did put a small crack in the plastic right back here. As I was editing this video, I realized I needed to do one more test of this bump cap, and it turns out it will not survive having a concrete block dropped on it repeatedly from a height of about 5 feet.
Well, duh.
So, no, this will not protect you from hammers and bricks. You still will get a concussion, but it might keep you from getting lacerations. You can put them in any type of hat. They'll stay better in a hat that has a more rigid, solid sweatband. You do notice these when you have them in a hat. All of the edges are hidden behind the sweatband of your hat, so you don't feel those. You just feel it on top of your head. You can feel that pad, but after a couple of minutes, you don't really notice it. You can also trim these to size because they are just plastic. There are some lines on the side, actually, some marks to cut them down if you need them to fit into your hat. If your hat's a little smaller, your head's a little smaller. This one I trimmed down a little bit. I took about 1/8 an inch off each side. I just put it on a belt sander and sanded it off. If you don't have a belt sander, you could just use scissors or a knife like a normal person. These are pretty inexpensive. These ones are about $6. This one was more expensive. It cost me $9. So that is a bump cap insert. Kind of a silly thing, probably not for everyone, but for sweaty people or people who work in spaces where they bump their heads a lot. Probably a useful thing. You guys leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Is this just a silly gimmick, or do you work in an environment where you need one of these or would like to use something like this? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know if you are an excessively sweaty person who has to wash their hats all the time, because I got a solution for your funny shaped hats. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll see you next time. Look out. Okay, look out. Let's do it again.
Okay, move out. Nope. I still want you to